Hello and welcome to our first week in the psychology of adulthood. My name is Dr. Mark Kavanagh, and I'll be your instructor for this semester. I'm a adjunct instructor at the University of Maine at Augusta. My full-time gig is I'm the chair of social sciences and psychology at Kennebec Valley Community College. I love teaching there, and I love teaching here at UMA. And I've been teaching this class now for a few years. I have another one, personality, and I might be doing neurology. So hold on and wait for that. So I wanted to take this first video to explain how the course is going to be going, the online resources, and in particular, the reading resource that I offer to students called a course book. Now, first off, each week, each Monday, I will be posting a video like this that will go over the expectations for that particular week. I will give any updates that I have, anything that kind of went wonky, or if there was anything that's really, really good, and I want to point out those kinds of things. Usually I pretty much focus on what's coming up for the week, describing the assessments. There'll be discussions, quizzes, and assignments, and then leaving you with some additional tips on how to do your best work. All of this class, of course, is online. It's asynchronous. There's no required specific meeting times or anything like that. So all of our interactions are going to occur in Brightspace. So let's look at Brightspace, this course. If you're seeing this video, you're looking right here, and that's where the video is. And what I want to highlight is the way I design my classes. There's really only one place that you need to go, and all the information that you need for the class is going to be found there, and that is going to be this content. So you hit the content here, and if I click on syllabus, what you get is the start dates and end dates of the class. Here's a little video about how to navigate within the Brightspace interface. And then right here, we have a link to my course book. Now I'm going to be looking at that course book directly in just a few minutes, but here is where you can order the print version through Amazon, or you can order an Apple Books version through Apple Books and view the document on your Apple device. I'm the one that wrote this document, and what it contains in each chapter, it looks a lot like a textbook, but in each chapter are my lessons and resources and links and articles and videos and my lecture notes, and what leading up to at the end of each chapter is a description of the discussions, if there's one. I list out the questions for the quiz, if there's one, and I list out the instructions, including a grading rubric for every single assignment. Now back to Brightspace. We'll get back to the course book in just a little bit. If you scroll down here, we have the syllabus. You want to go through that to see how I'm grading things and whatnot. And then the next link, of course, we have faculty resources here. I mean, you might not see that. Student resources, but right here, the course timeline. I created that document, and what this does, there's an introduction here. There's some special discussion boards that I have, the course lounge and course questions, so you can communicate with me that way. And then every week, I outline which chapter we are going to be covering in that particular week, and then links to the actual discussions and quizzes, and in the case of assignments, to the drop boxes that you will need to upload your assignments. That's it. That's all that's in Brightspace. The content is not in Brightspace. The content is in that course book. So you have to make sure that you get that course book in order so you can look at when it says chapter 1 discussion, chapter 1 quiz, you click on it. Now, the discussions do have the instructions, but you click on the quiz and it just you're gonna start the quiz. I've given you the questions already. They're in the course book. If you click on the assignment, there's no description of what you're supposed to do. You can look at the rubric, but then where's all the instructions? In the course book. So let me switch screens here, and we will talk now about this course book thingy. Now, the version that I have right now is playing on my Mac. It's the Apple book version. So here's the cover page here, and designing these books as a series for all of the classes that I've designed and teach. There's some front material here. There's an index. These links actually work. If I want to go to Chapter 7, Love and Intimacy, I can click on there and it'll bring me right to that chapter. Then we have an explanation about how the course book works. And you'll see there's my learning model, my instructional design model. And right over here, you see instructions about QR codes. If individuals buy the print version of this course book, all the links and all the videos are accompanied by a QR link that you open up the camera on your phone, you scan that link, and you can go right to the link. So even if you have the print version, it's still interactive. And as we look at Chapter 1, you'll see some movies and whatnot that have this sort of this extra tool for those who have the print version. So then we go into, I've aligned all of the assignments to the American Psychological Association's expectations for undergraduate education in psychology. That was a mouthful right there. I'm glad I got that right. So here's those alignments here. You see that Chapter 5, Chapter 7, Chapter 2, they align to specific outcomes expected by the APA. I then do the same for the value rubrics. It's a set of learning outcomes for higher ed by the American Association of Colleges and Universities, and I align those as well. Then a little bit about adult development. This is a new edition of adult development, and you'll see in this list are the changes I made to this particular edition. There's me, and then we enter into Chapter 1. Every chapter is organized around an instructional design model that I have called ALATA. So there's 4 sections within each chapter. The first section is attention. The next section is learning outcomes. The next section is teaching. And then finally, assessments. So ALOTA is the acronym for describing that. So if we look at Chapter 1, we'll see that it opens up with an attention getter about what is normal. Nice little question about any psychology class, particularly developmental ones. And then the learning outcomes in this particular class, when I'm going to be asked in this particular chapter, I'm going to be asked you to discuss examples of developmental clocks and apply the developmental perspective to a psychology question. Now, you're not supposed to be able to know how to do that yet. You have to read the material. So here's the teaching. Here, I go into the developmental perspective that you just heard about. And then we go through here. Here's the material, normative development. And then in the iBook version, I actually need to click this to activate the book to actually stream into this book the movie. Now here's a video that I did, and if you have the Apple Books version and you click on this, it's actually going to play the movie right in the text here. So it introduces this chapter. Look at that, the movie starts playing, but we're not going to watch that. But that's one of the features of the Apple version, is any movies that I have will play right in the document, a little bit like Harry Potter, for all you Harry Potter fans out there. And so, but you'll also see here on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see the QR code. So if you have the print version, you can scan that, and it brings you to the same video. Go through the developmental clocks. You see here an article on the generations and the QR code there. All of these things. More videos there. Now it's loading all of the videos for me because I allowed it to do that first one. I go through each one of those chapters expecting what we're going to be doing in this class, and finally ending up here at the assessments section. The assessments I describe in this particular chapter. There is a discussion and there is a quiz. The discussion asks you to consider one of the psychological clocks. Now, you'll read in the content that there are 4 clocks that we can track human development across. The biological clock, you've probably heard of that one. Psychological clock, maturity and cognitive abilities that change over time. We have the social clock, which is not our ability to socialize. That's in the psychology clock. The social clock are societal and cultural expectations for a particular age. So if you're 18, what are you supposed to be doing? What is the norm in your family or in your culture growing up? We look at that piece. And then the other one, closely related to the social clock, is the historical clock, which kind of, we actually kind of look at the generations. It says, I was born in 1965, so I was exposed to stereos that had, vinyl records that are just starting to come back now, but that was a big thing. We had vinyl records. I had very high quality needle on my tone arm from my record player. These are terms that for a couple generations completely disappeared. But because I was born in 1965, I experienced different things that shaped who I am. If you're born in 2000, you experience different things that shaped who you are. And those differences, we celebrate those differences. So we understand there's differences that exist because we were born and lived through different events. So I'm asking you to pick one of those clocks and tell me a story about it. And then the idea, as you probably know, with every online course I've ever been in or taught, you have to reply once to the prompt. You have to post your own original content and then reply to at least 2 people. And you can reply, you can carry on a dialogue. Please do. That's what makes this class engaging, is when people go in and respond to each other. Not just, hey, I like that or I agree, but engage in a conversation. Sometimes even challenge the person if you want. The quiz goes into a particular sort of philosophy about human development and the asking of questions within the field of human development. Now, let's take your Intro to Psych class. Your Intro to Psych class introduces you to categories of different things in which psychology has a say. So we have vision, and we have perception, and we have memory, and we have cognitive skills, and we have, all of these things, However, we know that those change over time. So memory changes over time. It follows a curve in terms of abilities and then the lack of ability later on in life. That's a natural course of development and maturation. So when we ask a question like, how do human beings remember? How do human beings remember things? We look at our Intro to Psych class and we say, okay, here's the structure of memory as we know it, and just looking at the different theories of memory, blah, blah, blah. When you take the developmental perspective, you take that exact same question, but then you add an age, because not only do I want to know how we remember things, but where is it at in terms of that continuing change that occurs over the lifespan? Because yes, those initial theories apply through the lifespan, but how a 2-year-old remembers things is very different than how a 25-year-old remembers things. So I will ask a second question. First, the psychology question, how do human beings remember things? The second one, how do 2-year-olds remember things? Same question, I'm just putting the age in it. That's it. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Put one question that just asks a general question about psychology, and then write it again, but specify an age. That's it. But that's the developmental perspective. when we are studying human development, in this case, adult development, we're looking at changes that occur over the period of time from, whenever we decide we're an adult until we die. And those changes are what we would, so the answer to any one of our psychological questions is going to depend on when it happened. This is particularly important when it comes, in my experience and what I did for a living, when it comes to disability. So someone's injured, they get a neck injury, and they have paralysis because of that. How does that affect them? And I'm going to say, well, let's rewrite that question. How old are they? And they say, well, he's 23. Okay, then we look at our developmental material and say, what's going on at age 23? What is the normal developmental expectations going on at 23? And that helps us understand what that person might be going through. They might be just starting their career. They're vigorous and young, and maybe they're athletic. They have a romantic partner, and all this, like, wow, this thing just got thrown off the tracks. But their ability to communicate, their ability to make friends, their ability to do academic work and all that, that's already pretty solid. So we can then focus our energies on what is going on for a person when that particular disability came in. This has been useful, pragmatically useful in my career as a social worker, mental health worker, rehabilitation worker, all the different fields, and of course, coming to school. How did people succeed in the school when they go to college? Look around the classroom. Can't really do that here, but look around your classroom. You have all different ages. At UMA and the community colleges, we're community colleges. There's all these mostly wide diversity of ages. You might have a 50-year-old next to a 17, sometimes a 16, 15-year-old kid. Maybe they're homeschooled and just advanced, and they're coming into the class. So you have this great diversity in the experience of the classroom. How do people succeed in school? There's going to be a difference between the 50-year-old and the 14-year-old. That's the whole thing. So all that little lecture about that one quiz, a very, very, don't make it more complicated, a very simple assignment. You ask the question, a psychological question. Don't answer it, just asking the question. Then you ask the question again in the developmental perspective, and you add an age. All right. So that's it for this particular, let's see, I got everything on my list here. Welcome to class. We only have a little bit of a short week. You'll notice that everything is due on Sunday night at midnight. Otherwise, Brightspace turns into a pumpkin. And so make sure you get everything in on time. I will grade in a very, very, I'll stay on top of this as much as I can. And I use the announcements section to tell you when things are graded. When I finish grading something, I will post an announcement. No need to send me an email about have you got this or anything like that. I'm on it. If you don't see the announcement, that means I'm still working on it. I'm also teaching 12 classes this semester. So I'll be patient with you when you're patient with me. That's our agreement. So I will get things to you in time. That is my expressed goal. I very much enjoy teaching this class. People tend to get a lot out of it in the past. I hope you do too. If there's any questions about any aspect of this class, reach out to me with my email, or if you want, post it in that questions discussion board. That's a great place to put the question out there, and I might not be the one that answers it. Maybe one of your classmates answers it. Maybe one of your classmates has taken my personality class and they kind of get my thing, and they might be able to answer that question, or a Brightspace issue or whatever. I'll be monitoring all of the discussions, make sure we don't go too off the tracks, and I hope for a great semester here at UMA again. So take care, be well, and I will see you online.